I am determined to avoid a punishment this month, so I have some reading to do this week. Hi everyone, my name's Chloe, welcome back to my channel. Thank you for being here today. Today's video is the start of a new weekly reading vlog. It is now Monday the 24th of January. There is like a week left of this month and I'm determined to finish my TBR because last month I had to take a punishment in TBR MASH and I don't want to do that again this month. So I have got 2 books left to read on TBR MASH TBR, so only 2 more and then I don't have to have a punishment. I've got 3 books left to read in total though, because there's another one I want to read because I want to watch a live show that is happening on the 5th of February, and I would like to finish it in January rather than rolling it over to February because I have other plans in February that you will see in possibly my next video. Yeah, I think it is actually my next video. You will see what my plans are for February, but what that means is I have 3 books I want to read this week. The one that I can put off a little bit if I absolutely need to is Law by Alexandra Bracken. I always stumble over saying that name. I have a slightly shortened tongue for some reason. Alexandra Bracken always wants to turn into Alexandra Blacken. So I'm going to struggle to say that name a few times this week, just a heads up. But yeah, that one is for the Recreate Book Club, which is hosted by Becca, Ashley and Rachel, and their live show is on the 5th of February, as I said. So fingers crossed I can read it before then. I bought the book specifically to read for that book club, so I'd like to be able to read it, but we will see. I do also have the 10,000 Doors of January, which is on my TBR MASH TBR. That was actually the punishment one from last month. The punishment was to read a Meg pick because Meg told me that one of my punishments should be to read one of the ones that she shouts about in the comments, and that happened to be what I pulled out of the punishment jar. So I will be reading that one hopefully this week, and the other one, the one that I am actually already reading, is Let's Call It Doomsday by Katie Henry. So I've read another book by Katie Henry. I read Heretics Anonymous and I really enjoyed it. Had this one pretty much since it came out. I also have her next release, which was This Will Be Funny Someday, and have not read either of them. I started reading this today. I actually started listening to the audiobook because I thought it was on script, and I am now 65 pages in. I'm actually really enjoying this, so that's good. It's basically about these 2 main characters. So we have got Ellis, I believe her name is. Yeah, so we've got Ellis and we have got Hannah, and Ellis is a very anxious person, and one of the ways that her anxiety plays out is sort of catastrophizing everything. She always thinks the world's going to end, and this manifests as her being like a doomsday prepper type person. That's the sort of extreme that her catastrophizing has got to. Like, she literally thinks the world could end at any minute. And then there is Hannah, who believes that she can kind of see the future in a way, and she believes that she knows how the world's going to end. They end up meeting in their therapist's waiting room, and they are not necessarily the best for each other is what I'm seeing already, and I'm really intrigued to see where it's going to go. I much prefer Ellis as a character to Hannah so far. Hannah is a little bit too, like, there's not too much substance to her yet. She's just sort of constantly coming in with these strange like prophecies and then disappearing, and she's just a little bit too like all over the place for me at the minute. Ellis is the narrator, is told in first person, so you are seeing it more from her point of view anyway, but I can very much relate to some of her things, not to the extent that she goes, but just being an anxious person in general, I can relate to some of that stuff. So I am liking her perspective. I do have to say though that it feels like it could be one of those books where it could get a little bit too much sometimes with how anxious she is, so I may have to put it down every so often, but I am enjoying it so far, and hopefully it'll be a fairly quick read because the audiobook's only 9 hours, so I might even be able to finish it between today and tomorrow, which would be good because that would mean that I'd be on track for reading the 3 this week. But yeah, that is pretty much my plans. I do have a little bit of a mini book haul to show you before I sign off for the day, but I don't think there's anything else I need to catch you up on. I don't really have too much going on this week other than work. I need to film TBR MASH and I'm going to visit my sister at the weekend, but other than that I am pretty much free, so should be able to make a decent dent into the rest of my TBR. But yeah, let me show you what books I bought today. I called in Waterstones on my way home from work and I picked up 2 books that I'd actually reserved, and one of them was the last one in a series that I am planning on reading very, very soon, and I'm planning on just sort of reading them all in one go, and that is Obsidia by J. Christoph and Amy Kaufman. I was gifted both Illuminate and Gemini as sort of birthday Christmas presents, and I thought I should probably pick this one up, and then I can, like I said, just read the entire series because although they are chunky, they are also sort of mixed media, so they are very, very quick reads, so should be able to just read get through the entire series in a couple of days, hopefully. So I had that one now. I then also picked up Daughter of the Moon Goddess by Sulin Tan. So I've been seeing this one all over social media. I was not sure if I was going to buy it myself. I'd not really read the synopsis. I just know it is a sort of Chinese myth or legend retelling, and I was intrigued by it, but I just hadn't pre-ordered it. And then everyone seemed to be getting their copies because everyone else seemed to have pre-ordered it, and I was feeling like I was missing out a little bit. And then I saw sort of what the reviews are on Goodreads, and I was like, actually this could be a pretty good read. So they still had the Waterstones special edition with the sprayed edges in my local Waterstones. It's not the signed copy, but it is just the general sprayed edge copy, and I thought, you know what, I will pick this one up while they have it. I also had some vouchers, so I didn't have to pay for these at all because I had like £30 worth of vouchers, and also getting these ones pushed me to get another £10 on my Waterstones card, so I'm doing well. So I got these 2 books for free today. I also then got another set of books technically for free because they are a birthday present from my parents, but they paid for them at the time and they've just shipped because they are special edition from Illumicrate, and it is another special edition set that I've ordered without actually reading the books, but this is what I'm like, and I'm very, very excited for these. It is the Madeline Miller set, so look how stunning this is. This is just a slipcase. We've got this, it says Madeline Miller on a sort of spine bit, and then you have the spines, so they've got quotes on there as well. It says, Song of Achilles says, I would know him in death at the end of the world, and Circe says, rare moments when another soul dips near yours. They are absolutely stunning. And then the books themselves are kind of the original covers, but in the sort of gold foiling. We have pretty end papers, signed, and they also have letters from Madeline Miller herself, and Circe is same, just with different end papers, signed and with a bounding letter. So I am really excited to have these, even though I have not read either of them yet, but I do think I'm going to like them, and also they are just stunning copies to have on my shelves anyway, so you know. Right, I have been rambling for far too long. I am actually going to go and get ready for bed and read a little bit. Hello. I have finally filmed some actual videos rather than just vlogs. I've had 2 vlogs go up in a row, and I keep putting off filming my actual videos because I've just not been in the mood to do them. But it's Wednesday evening. I have come home from work. I've gone in the shower to kind of give myself some energy. I've just filmed TBR MASH, and I've also just filmed a video that you should have seen, the last video before this, talking about my reading plans for February. I'm doing something which I'm calling Finish It February, where basically I am trying to finish a load of series that I need to, all the ones that I just have like 1 book left, you know, those really annoying ones, you just like, I need to finish this. I also talked through my Royal Readathon TBR. I'm really excited to join in that readathon because it's hosted by some lovely people, so I am looking forward to joining in with Becca and Liv and everything that they have got planned. So I am now going to go and read my January TBR, otherwise I'll never be able to start my February one. So I'm going to go and try and get some of 10,000 Doors of January read tonight. I didn't tell you, I finished Let's Call It a Doomsday. I don't think I've really spoke about it all. I finished it this morning. I ended up finding the audiobook on Scribd. So I did listen to a lot of it on audiobook because I actually really liked the narrator. To be honest, I'm just in an audiobook mood at the minute, so if I can find an audiobook, I will listen to it. But yeah, I really like the narrator. I ended up giving it a 3 stars. It was a good book. I definitely preferred Heretics Anonymous, the first book I read by the author. I gave that one 4 stars. The thing is with this one is that I think I gave you a synopsis earlier on, but it's basically about this girl who has anxiety, and the way that manifests for her is that she's constantly worrying about bad situations, and like the worst is always going to happen. So pretty much everything leads to, in her head, someone hating her or somebody getting injured or the world ending, pretty much is what it always comes back to. And then she meets this girl who says that she knows exactly how the world is going to end, and she's had this dream and it involves both of them being together, and that is at the end of the world. So it's about their friendship, but also about sort of building up to whatever this event is actually going to be, because I mean, it's not a fantasy, it's contemporary, so you can assume that the world isn't actually going to end. But I really liked parts of this. So I really liked the way that it handled Ellis, the main character, the one with anxiety. I really liked how it handled her anxiety. I felt like it was at times too real. Like sometimes I was just like, oh, I don't like reading this because this feels very familiar. But I did like sort of how that was portrayed. There was also talk about religion. I feel like, I don't know too much about this author, but I'm guessing she must have come from some sort of religious background, because both of her books now have dealt fairly heavily with religion. And in this particular book, the main character is a Mormon, and it is about sort of not necessarily like challenging their beliefs. There's discussion of that in this book. There's discussion of a slightly more sort of open-minded approach to that than what maybe the church has had in the past. And there is discussion of that, and also how LGBTQ plus people fit into that church as well, whether they can fit into that church. And all of that discussion I really liked. The bits that I didn't like was the bits involving Hannah, the girl with the dreams who says she knew when the world was ending. She felt just a little bit too much like, you know, those sort of like manic pixie dream girls in films that just sort of turn up just to be strange for the sake of it and just kind of be something for the main character to fixate on. It felt like that. There was more revealed later on about like what her actual story was and why she was like that, but it still just felt very much like she was just there to be this kind of slightly flighty character in the background and not really have too much substance to her. And I just got bored whenever she was on the page. I really liked, said, the other stuff with Ellis, but whenever Hannah was on, I was just like, okay, can we just move back to the Ellis stuff now? So I gave it 3 stars. It wasn't a bad book. It was like a good 3 stars. It was one of those where it's like, I'm glad I read it. I'm probably never going to read it again. But this has been a very long, rambly update, but basically now I need to read 10,000 Doors of January this week. Like I said, it is Wednesday evening. I need to read it before Monday evening. I'm going to try and finish it before Saturday night, to be honest. So what I'm going to do now is clear away this pile of books that I've just been talking about and get in bed and try and read like at least 50 pages tonight. Fingers crossed. I'm hoping I read it a bit quicker than I did Alex E. Harrow's other book, because I did read Once a Future Witches quite slowly, and that's one of the reasons why I think it wasn't my favourite book, is that I just felt like it was a bit too slow. I'm hoping this one's a little bit quicker, but it's probably not going to be. We will see. I just really need to read it this week because I've filmed my TBR and I can't add punishments. Hello. It is now Thursday evening. I do not know what I last updated you on. I know I last filmed a clip after filming TBR MASH, but I can't remember what I said for reading, other than that I'd finished, let's call it, a Doomsday. I have since read or listened to an audiobook of a short story. So basically I listened to The Willful Princess and the Piebald Prince, which is a novella set in the realm of the Elderlings. It's set before anything in the realm of the Elderlings, so it is about the Farseer line many years ago, and also how the wit, which is the magic where you can talk to animals, how that sort of became looked upon the way that it is now, because in the realm of the Elderlings regular books, the wit is looked down upon, whereas the skill, which is where you can sort of share minds with other people, is the one that is what people would want. And it looks at why that was kind of disparaged, and it was actually a really good short story. I gave it 5 stars. Like I said, it comes before anything else, but it is best reading it after you have read the first Farseer trilogy, because you won't really have an idea of exactly what they're talking about in terms of like the magic and things like that without having read something. But also it's apparently really good to read it before Tawny Man, because I think there are things from it that are referenced in Tawny Man. It gives you some context to it. So I'm glad I've read that. I do have the physical copy on its way to me, but I wanted an audiobook to listen to on my way to work this morning, so I thought I would put that one on because I didn't have audiobooks for anything else. But I have actually just got the audiobook for the book that I'm now reading, and that is 10,000 Doors of January by Alex E. Harrow. So this was my punishment read for the month. My punishment was to read a book that was picked by Meg, because that was the suggestion that she gave me when I asked for punishment suggestions on Twitter. So It's the last book to read on my TBR. As I mentioned, it is about a girl who finds these mysterious doors that lead to other places. That is about all I know. I have only read one chapter so far, but I am actually liking it so far. And one of the reasons that it is kind of a punishment, as well as it just being like a random thing where I didn't get to choose it, is that I read Once and Future Witches by Alex E. Harrow, and while I enjoyed it, I didn't love it as much as I thought I was going to. I don't know, there was just something about it that I didn't love, and I can't even really explain it. I am tempted to try and read it again, to be honest, because I might just not have been in the right mood for it at the time. But I did want to give her writing another go, and Meg actually gifted me $10,000 of January for my birthday. So I'm reading that. I'm going to get back to reading it now. To be honest, I don't have too much else to catch up on. I've just been at work. But I'm hoping to finish this one today and tomorrow. It's actually feeling like a pretty quick read, so I think I can get quite far into it today and then finish it tomorrow night, and then I've got Saturday, Sunday and Monday to read law, and then I will have read everything on my TBR, whether it was TBR, MASH TBR, or just what I was hoping to read in January in general. But yes, I am going to go and actually read this book rather than just rambling at you guys. Hello, it is now Saturday evening. I've spent the day in Leeds with my sister. We just went for some food and did a little bit of shopping while I was there as well. But I thought I would give you a quick catch up on my reading, because I finished a book yesterday. I finished $10,000 of January. I really wanted to love this book. I really, really did. I wanted it to be a 5-star read. I wanted it to change my mind about Alex E. Harrow. Unfortunately, it didn't. I gave it 3 stars. I didn't hate it. It's not a bad book by any means, but it's the exact same thing as Once and Future Witches. Like, I liked the writing style, but I just didn't feel invested in the story, and I don't really know why. I can't explain it. I think I've decided that Alex E. Harrow is not for me. So I'm glad I know that now, because I was going to try and reread Once and Future Witches, but I've decided now that it's definitely just me not gelling with her books. So I think I'm going to give up on my hopes of rereading that one. But I have started a new book as well. I've started reading Law by Alexandra Bracken. I am about 40 pages into this. I've not read much. I only read it on a train journey on the way there. On the way back, I was too tired. I'm going to try and read some of it tonight, though, because basically I would like to finish that book by Monday evening. I don't like to carry books over to the next month, so I would like to have finished that one by the end of the 31st, which is Monday. I am on sprints tomorrow with Becca, Liv and Lisa, so that should mean that I read a fair amount then, and then carry on reading it. Well, I'll be reading it tonight, I'll read it tomorrow night, and I'll read it Monday night, and I will get it done, I'm sure. So I'm going to go now and go and read that. I'm snuggled up in my blanket thing. I'm going to go get comfy and read my book. Hello. It is Monday, because of course it is, but I am here to wrap up what is now last week's reading vlog. I actually had a pretty good reading week. I finished 3 books, not all 3 books that I hope to finish, but I am very close to finishing another one. So I finished reading Let's Call It Doomsday. I gave this one 3 stars. I didn't love it as much as I wanted to. I really enjoyed the first book I read by this author, Heretics Anonymous, and I could see bits of that sort of writing style and thing in this one, but I just didn't love the story. I am still looking forward to her other one that I have though, which is This Will Be Funny Someday, because I just think the storyline of that one is appealing to me a little bit more. So still an enjoyable read, still glad I read it, but not an all-time favourite or anything like that. I then read or listened to, actually, but I do now have the physical copy of The Willful Princess and the Piebald Prince by Robin Hobb. This is actually a novella, so it's quite short, and this is a prequel short story to The Realm of the Elderlings. Gives a little bit more information about the Farseer royal family and kind of how the magic of the wit and the skill kind of play a part in their family, and how they came to be part of their royal line. And I gave this one 5 stars. It was very, very good. There was lots of sort of twists and things, and lots of things revealed that I feel like are going to be fairly important going forward. So I'm glad I've read this, and I'm really, really excited now to dive back into another Fitz trilogy, because I've read 2 of the series in The Realm of the Elderlings, and I prefer the Fitz stories. So having read a Fitz trilogy and then read 3 sort of live ship traders books with various different perspectives in there. I'm really excited to go back to the Farseer line and to go back to Fitz because I just really like that storyline. I think I just mentioned I gave that one 5 stars. But then the other book that I read was 10,000 Doors January by Alex E. Harrow, and unfortunately I gave this one 3 stars, and it was a lower end 3 stars. I really enjoyed the writing style. I think it was really beautiful, but I just found myself getting bored. I didn't particularly feel connected to the characters, and yeah, it had a lot going for it, but it just wasn't a book for me, and I can't really explain why. It just wasn't. So again, glad I read it, glad that I have now decided that Alex E. Harrow is just not an author for me. I think I needed to read this book to make that decision, so I'm glad I did it, but unfortunately it is a lower end 3 star for me. And then the other book that I have mostly read this week is Law by Alexandra Bracken. I haven't really given you many updates on this. I am now about 300 pages exactly into this, and again it's feeling like a 3 star so far, maybe even lower. I don't know. I don't hate it. There's moments where I'm really getting into it, but it felt very info dumpy at the beginning, and it feels like there is a lot of information that I need to know about how this world is set up, and I don't think it's necessarily being delivered in the best way. Like, I don't know, it's just, like I said, things are just kind of being thrown at you, and I'm like, oh, okay. I feel like I kind of need to have more of a background knowledge on sort of Greek gods than I actually have to be able to enjoy this. So it's fine. I know this is quite like a love or hate book, and I am definitely more towards the disliking this book side of it, unfortunately. But this is the last book that I need to finish on my TBR this month. It is now the 31st. I do have about 250 pages left of this, but I am listening to the audiobook, and I think for the audiobook it works out about 2.5 hours with the speed that I'm listening to it at. So I should be able to do that tonight, and I'm actually going to go now so that I can continue reading this. So thank you guys for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff down below. Let me know how your reading week has gone. Have you managed to sort of finish your January TBR? And have we got some exciting plans for our February TBRs? And speaking of, I will see you guys next time with a new video for the start of February. Bye!